What's up, everyone? It's Denise Salcedo. I wanted to do a different kind of a video today. The Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards are officially out for the year of 2024. Now, this has been a conversation pretty much over the entire weekend. However, I managed to avoid any spoilers. I think I only saw one, and it was the main one, which we'll probably get started with first. But I wanted to go ahead and kind of like look at what people voted for and see if I agree or disagree, shock, surprise. So let's do this. Let me pop up the screen right here. And let's see what the people voted for in the Observer Awards for 2024. So we're going to kick things off. This is the one that I had already seen, which was the top wrestler, of course, wrestler of the year, excuse me. And the winner is Cody Rhodes. So this was the spoiler that I saw. And I haven't seen the entire list, by the way. So I'm okay. So Cody Rhodes, obviously number one, and number two, Will Ospreay, number three, Brian Danielson, four, Mystico, five, Swerve. That's a really great spot for him. Zack Sabre Jr., Roman Reigns at number seven, and then Sari. Oh, so good to see a woman on the list, and then Gunther, and then CM Punk and Drew McIntyre at the bottom. Wow, this is kind of all over the place in terms of voting. I'm not surprised that Cody Rhodes is at number one, only because he did have a very, very special year in the sense that obviously he finished his story, headlined WrestleMania both nights, was involved in this big feud with Roman Reigns and The Rock, right? That is huge. In terms of matches, though, of course, I don't think anybody on this list came close to Will Ospreay. In terms of wrestling matches, I think Will Ospreay is number one. In terms of overall, then I 100% get why Cody Rhodes is listed here at number one. And Brian Danielson also had a hell of a year, also won the AEW World Championship. So I see why he's so up there. Had the best match, of my opinion, the best match of the year with Will Ospreay. So I do feel like Brian Danielson's spot is also justified here on this list. I thought this was a big year for Swerve Strickland. Really cool to see him make the top five. I do think Roman Reigns should be maybe a little bit higher again because he did have such a big year too, right? Of course, not as big as Cody Rhodes, but he still had a lot to offer. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre being tied at number 10 is so funny because I would actually love to see. I would love to see Drew McIntyre's reaction because he hates CM Punk so much, and seeing him tied with CM Punk at number 10 is pretty damn hilarious when you think about it. I do think both CM Punk and Drew McIntyre should be above Gunther. I think they had a bigger year, both of them, than Gunther. So that one's a little bit surprising, but let's go ahead and move on to the next category. And of course, I want to get your thoughts and reactions on, who wins and whatnot. All right, I'm gonna skip this category because I'm not really too knowledgeable on that one. So, oh, here we go. Most outstanding wrestler. Earlier I had said that most outstanding wrestler to me, in my opinion, best wrestler overall in terms of matches, is definitely Will Ospreay. So it's great to see Will Ospreay take that one at number one, followed by Brian Danielson. Oh, Kanosuke Takeshita at number three. Oh, I'm so happy to see him get his flowers. I'm such a fan of his. So hell yeah, man. Again, Gunther ranked up pretty high. I'm a big fan of Gunther's. I'm surprised he's above Swerve Strickland, though. I thought match wise, I think Swerve Strickland had a little bit of a stronger year. Same thing for CM Punk and CM Punk. I think, well, CM Punk was gone for quite a bit though because of injury and whatnot, but he did have some great matches with Drew McIntyre, but I can see why he got that spot. Cody Rhodes, it's so crazy to see him in all the way at the bottom at number 10. And he did have a lot of good matches, and I feel like people forget that. I would probably rank Cody Rhodes and Gunther like neck and neck in this category. So yeah, that one's pretty interesting. But number one, Will Ospreay, completely justified, totally on board for that. All right, let's see. So we'll skip the MMA ones just because again, I'm not too knowledgeable on those ones. So let's get to the next one. Tag team of the year. Number one is the Young Bucks. Number two, Fraxium. Number three, FTR. Sting and Darby, number four. Okay, wow. So looking at this list, I felt like I felt like it could have been a stronger 2024 year for tag team wrestling, because even when you see the Young Bucks at number one, like the Young Bucks, I feel like, yeah, they had like a pretty decent year, but they've had stronger years, in my opinion, than they did in 2024. And of course, FTR also had a has had stronger years in the past than in 2024. But I think this kind of just shows like the state at which we're at, specifically because I covered WWE and AEW. I do feel like both sides definitely need to work on their tag team divisions, just to get more teams that are like hot and running and all of that. I love to see Nathan Frazier and Axiom get their love because they are obviously NXT tag team, and NXT doesn't get as many eyeballs as Raw or SmackDown. So the fact that they made it all the way up that list because people are talking about them and people like what they do, I love seeing them at the top of this list. I feel like that is definitely earned for Fraxium. Big fan of Fraxium. I cover NXT here on a weekly basis. Big fan of theirs. All right, best on interviews. Yes, Drew McIntyre got acknowledged here. Yes. All right. Drew McIntyre, number one. Number two, The Rock. Imagine beating out The Rock on best on interviews. But I mean, Drew McIntyre was freaking phenomenal with his promos and everything. Just so, so good. Like this was his year on that. Adam Page, number three, well deserved too. He's somebody that has completely changed. I kind of talk about Adam Pegman, Adam Page, and Drew McIntyre along the same lines because I think they both had a similar year in the sense that we just saw different versions of those two characters that were already loved, but like enhanced, better versions of both Drew McIntyre and Hangman Adam Page. Will Ospreay, love to. Oh, he's above CM Punk. What? I was actually expecting CM Punk above Will Ospreay, but okay. So, here's the thing: Will Ospreay. I remember a lot of people were wondering, like, oh, is he going to be good on promos? Is he not going to be good on promos? And then he just went out there and he was just himself. I think what I love most about Will Ospreay is that he's the same person in the ring, in the ring cutting promos, in interviews, in press conference, and then also just like sorry, that was a hiccup. Normally everyday Will Ospreay. Like I feel like he is the same person all the time. And I feel like that's what I love the most about him because he just seems like a cool, chill dude. And so I do love Will Ospreay on the mic. And I think that that's something that he's picked up so freaking fast in AEW, of course. I was expecting CM Punk to be a little higher for sure. Cody Rhodes, Tony Storm. Oh, Tony Storm below Cody Rhodes. Ooh, that one's interesting because Tony Storm has had a hell of a year, character wise, and she's always, in character. She's been a favorite on AEW. MJF was kind of gone for a lot, so I'm surprised to see him ranked above Swerve Strickland and ranked above Paul Heyman, who we did hear talk a little bit more throughout the year. But yeah, that's a good list. Ooh, a lot of good promos that we saw in 2024 and a lot of good storytellers on that end. Promotion of the year, WWE takes this one at number one, with number two, AEW, CMLL at number three, number four, New Japan Pro Wrestling, five, Stardom, six, UFC, 17, eight, Dragon Gate, nine, All Japan Pro Wrestling, and 10, Rev Pro. All right, so I do want to see who won last year. So last year, 2023, was WWE. The year before that was AEW, 2022. Am I reading this backwards? Yeah, no, I'm not. Okay, and then 2021 AEW as well. And then 2020 was also AEW. Okay, and then 2019 was New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, I'm making sure I was reading that correctly. I think I was reading it backwards. All right. Anyway, so yeah, AEW had a pretty strong run there. And then since last year, it's been WWE. WWE takes it again this year. I'm not surprised by this whatsoever because WWE has, I mean, the conversation has changed. I always say this, and I feel like nobody listens to me, but I always feel like pro wrestling sometimes, especially in the last couple of years, feels like a seesaw with AEW and WWE, where it was like AEW was on top and WWE was in the bottom, and now WWE is on top and AEW is in the bottom. It's a seesaw, guys. Like, shit happens. Sometimes some companies are hotter than others. And what do they say? Iron sharpens iron. Competition is the best thing. So I feel like this is not surprising at all. Right now, WWE's on the top. Right now, they are buzzing. People are interested in the storytelling. People are interested in the matches. People are interested in kind of everything as a whole. And who knows who will take it by the end of this year. So, damn, it's a good one. I was also kind of expecting TNA might have I wouldn't be surprised if next year TNA scores a lot higher, just because, again, of that partnership with WWE and sort of them kind of climbing up those rankings again. I could see TNA scoring a lot higher the next time around. All right, let's keep it going. Best weekly TV show, AEW Dynamite. It's so funny when I see like best promotion sometimes doesn't match like the best weekly program, and I'm like, what does it make it make sense, guys? Make it make sense. Okay, so AEW Dynamite was number one. I'm actually quite surprised by that one because, again, with the conversation with everybody being like, oh, I don't know how I felt about Dynamite this week. Oh, I don't know how I felt about it this week. I'm very surprised to see it at number one. SmackDown beat out Raw. I don't think that's going to happen this year if they still stick around at 3 hours. SmackDown at 2 hours, it has been, well, 2024 was 2 hours and it was great. And that's why it beat out Raw, I think, because Raw was still, Raw towards the tail end was also 2 hours. So that's interesting there too to see that. But it still seems like those votes, like there was just a couple hundred votes apart from seeing Raw beat out SmackDown. But I mean, look, let's go kind of scroll down. Oh, NXT was at number 6. Ooh, Collision beat NXT. See, that one's interesting to me. I don't know how I feel about that one, mainly because I cover NXT on a weekly basis. And so I'm a little bit more familiar with NXT. So maybe that's my fault. But I do think NXT deserves a little bit more love, guys. Come on, let's give NXT a little bit more love. All right. And also, I think that Rampage beating out Impact is just more people probably watch Rampage more than they did Impact. And that kind of impacts the rest of those. All right, let's see who has won like the last couple of years. DM, the last time NXT won was in 2018. 2019 was AEW Dynamite, 2020 AEW Dynamite, 2021 AEW Dynamite, 2022 Dynamite, 2023 AEW Dynamite. So they have been winning this category since 2020. So you got to give them some love for that, guys. That's something to be proud of, in my opinion. So very, very interesting on that end. And so we'll see what that looks like this year. I wouldn't be surprised if this year Raw wins number one, again, with all of the buzz surrounding Netflix, as well as the fact that it's just shorter, it's more consumable. I think all of that may score Raw a lot higher next year. All right, let's keep it going and let's get into Pro Wrestling Match of the Year. Yes, I was about to be super pissed if it wasn't Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. That was Match of the Year, guys. Me and Reg and all of these videos that I did with Reg when we talk about AEW, I'm always constantly being like, guys, there's no other answer. The answer is Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson. Okay, I will take no other answer. Look at me. If I was a judge, this would be my ruling. But it looks like a lot of people agree because it's won across the board in multiple places when given this award. So yeah, I mean, just it feels unanimous. And look at the votes, man. The second place vote, which was Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland, another really great match, really great moment. With Bryan winning the title, of course. Swerve coming off of a really hot reign, all of that doesn't even come super close to the number one vote. Wow. And Sting and Darby versus the Young Bucks came very, very close to being number two here. Wow. Okay, that's another one that I think is interesting too, because I think that one could have easily been really high up because, again, it was Sting's last match. Darby nearly killed himself, like all the time. Love Darby, big fan. This was the best match the Young Bucks had all year. We got to see Sting's kids. It was just an emotional night. So I'm surprised that one didn't score. It almost took the number two spot. Really, it did. Bryan Danielson, it's funny, is already three matches of the top five here. Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr., great pick. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, of course, that bad blood match. Then Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Will Ospreay, Konosuke Takeshita, one of my favorites. Loved that match. Michael Oku versus Will Ospreay. And then MJF versus Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay versus Okada. Wait. Out of 10 slots, how many did Will Ospreay have? He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So out of 5, so he had 5 out of 10 of the best pro wrestling matches of the year for 2024. Love it. Love it. Oh, so good. And then last year's winner, just to remind myself, yep, of course. Uh Hold on. 2022 was Okada and Will Ospreay. 2023 was Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. So yeah, this is starting to be Will Ospreay's category for sure. All right, let's keep it going. MMA Fight of the Year, we'll skip that one. Let's go into these ones here. So these are the category B awards, by the way. So let's see. United States, Canada MVP, number 1, Cody Rhodes, number 2, Will Ospreay, number 3, Bryan Danielson, 4, Swerve Strickland, number 5, Drew McIntyre. Great votes. It's so funny because when I just did I had people vote. You guys saw this on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and these votes got like thousands of votes, and Drew McIntyre won all of those across the board. I had personally chosen Cody Rhodes as the MVP, but I feel like the fan favorite in a lot of this really is Drew McIntyre. So he's a little low here, but hey, that's how the cards played out. All right, let me see. And the Japanese MVP was Zack Sabre Jr., an incredible wrestler. I wish I had the opportunity to watch more New Japan Pro Wrestling so I could give a little bit more insight here. However, I'd just rather be honest with everybody. I haven't been as up to date. So I'll take everyone's word for it on this one. Mexico MVP, number 1, Místico, number 2, Hechicero, number 3, Máscara Dorada, number 4, El Hijo del Vikingo. I think what kind of probably hurt Vikingo is he was out for a little bit. And then Hechicero also had a really good year, even had some big matches on AEW. So good for him. Proud of Místico there. Europe MVP, Michael Oku at number 1, number 2, Luke Jacobs, number 3, Zack Sabre Jr., number 4, Will Ospreay. The Hodge Award here went to Darby Allin. Very, very cool to see that. Love to see Mike Bailey there at number 5. I think he's someone that hopefully if he does go to AEW, I'm going to be very interested in seeing what his year looks like. Women's Wrestling MVP, number 1, Sari. I've been hearing great stuff about her. I have not seen any of her work as of, since she was gone from NXT, but I have heard people tell me that she is just killing it. So I'm clearly going to have to take a second to look at that, considering how high she scored. Rhea Ripley, number 2, number 3, Toni Storm, number 4, Mercedes Moné, number 5, Mayu Iwatani, number 6, Liv Morgan, number 7, Mariah May, number 8, Willow Nightingale, number 9, Maika. Sorry, I'm not familiar with her as much. And number 10, Roxanne Perez. I actually think Roxanne Perez should be a lot higher. Again, I think that the only reason she's listed as number 10 is because she has less eyeballs on her on NXT. I do think that she had an insane body of work and was truly my favorite women's wrestler for 2024, considering the matches that she had. I thought she just had the best matches. Of course, star power, Rhea Ripley, to me, is still number 1 because no one's matching Rhea Ripley's star power. But again, wrestling-wise, to me, that's Roxanne Perez. All right, and let's go ahead and get into Feud of the Year. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre beat out Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland, but not by a lot. And that one, I really wasn't sure which one was going to win. I actually thought Adam Page and Swerve Strickland had a huge chance of winning because they really went all out in this feud. I love CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I think that their backs and forths were so great, but I think that because Adam Page and Swerve Strickland was more of a serious, darker, evil kind of feud. A man's house was burned down, a man broke into another man's home, and because of how violent their matches were, I got to give them my number 1 pick. But with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre right below that, again, just a matter of taste. Maybe Adam Page and Swerve Strickland might be a little too dark for some people. And then again, you have a lot more star power though and the CM Punk Drew McIntyre feud, because again, CM Punk's such a big star, so is Drew McIntyre, and because they are big stars, I do think that that might have also won some people to go for them. Number 3, Cody Rhodes and the Bloodline. Love to see that again. So much happened during that. It's so funny because like the Bloodline does include The Rock and Roman Reigns, so I'm not surprised at that being at number 3. Number 4, Tony Storm and Mariah May. Love to see it. One of the top feuds in AEW. I mean, it's still ongoing even as of this moment. Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, one of my personal favorite feuds on AEW. I'm so happy it made the list. OG Bloodline versus Bloodline. I think if Solo Sikoa's Bloodline was a lot stronger, then I think we would have probably seen them win. MJF, Will Ospreay, great stuff there. They had 2 great matches. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Tam Nakano, and Saya Kamatani. I didn't see that one, so I can't really say. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. Also love to see that one get acknowledged because even though it kind of went very long, there was a lot of fun moments throughout that time period. All right, and the best box office draw for pro wrestling was number 1, Cody Rhodes, number 2, The Rock, number 3, Roman Reigns. Definitely looks the part that it should be. It looks about right there. Most improved, yes, number 1, Kyle Fletcher. I mean, me and Reg talk about him all the time on our AW post show. Like, his matches are great. He quickly got into this role of a single star when Mark Davis was gone. And like I said, his feud with Will Ospreay, one of my favorite things. So happy to see Kyle Fletcher at number 1. Harley Cameron at number 2. You go, girl. Damn, you go, girl. I mean, come on. She got so over that she got herself a match with Mercedes Moné. Think about that. Like, she got herself over to that degree where she was able to make that match happen. Number 6, Mariah May. Number 5, Swerve Strickland. Number 4, Gabe Kidd. Number 3, Dave Finley. I don't know why I read those the way that I did. It's just my eyes went to those. Liv Morgan also had a hell of a year. This was really the year where she became the biggest star ever. Nia Jax, a lot of people weren't excited about seeing her back, but she like really just showed that she can actually, she improved. She improved. Yeah, I don't disagree with this list at all. I think it's very good. Most charismatic. Come on now. The Rock at number 1. That's not a surprise whatsoever. I can't ever see The Rock. If he's on TV, I can't ever see him not taking this. He's The Rock, bro. Number 2, Will Ospreay coming up above CM Punk. Yo, I love that, but I'm telling you, the reason why people are gravitated towards Will Ospreay is because he comes across as his real self. He doesn't come across as a guy who's acting. He's just him. CM Punk, Swerve Strickland, Roman Reigns. Oh wow, Swerve above Roman Reigns. That's interesting. MJF above Cody Rhodes, Kenta Miyahara, Tony Storm, and then Harley Cameron. Harley Cameron making it onto this list is awesome. And the fact that the only women on this list are from AEW, wow. I'm surprised Rhea Ripley isn't on this list. I would have expected her to be on that list. I feel like she does have a lot of charisma and a lot of charm, but I think because the Tony Storm and Harley Cameron characters were so quirky, both of them in different ways, I think that's why they kind of stood out a little bit more on that. Oh, and Rhea Ripley was an honorable mention at number 15. Yup, Joe Hendry at number 19. He's somebody that I think could pretty soon be I think if again he had more eyeballs on him, he would definitely be scoring a lot higher for sure. Best technical wrestler went to Zack Sabre Jr. Number 2, Brian Danielson, even though it's the Brian Danielson Award. Love it. But yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. and Brian Danielson, like, it's funny because Brian had one in 2023, 2022. He had taken it back because for several years it was Zack Sabre Jr. And of course, the title's named, the award is named after Brian Danielson because of how many times he won it before that. But the fact that Brian Danielson took it back and then he lost it again, so funny. It's so funny to see that play out. Bruiser Brody Memorial Award, which is the best brawler, Adam Page. Oh, nice. Hell yeah, man. I love to see Adam Page listed at number 1 here. That's very, very cool. I think it's well deserved on that one. Ooh, Drew McIntyre made the list at number 8. Number 5, Gunther. All right. I'm surprised Swerve Strickland's all the way down at number 7. Because he was pretty he was pretty on that this year, but interesting. All right, best flying wrestler, of course, Will Ospreay. Number 2, Commander, Máscara Dorada. And number 3, Ricochet at 4. I think Ricochet will probably score even a lot higher next year. Nathan Frazier at number 5. Love to see an NXT person on here. 6, Neon. Number 7, Mystico. Number 8, Mike Bailey. Number 9, Darby Allin. Love that he made it on there. And he's tied with Hologram. So that's interesting. All right. I mean, I'm not surprised by any of this. This was not a surprising one forever. Most overrated, Nia Jax. Oh no, but she's been working so hard. Solo Sikoa, I gotta agree on that one. CM Punk as most overrated. I think it's probably people are like, oh, he's a little older, but he's CM Punk. I don't think CM Punk is overrated. Chris Jericho. I mean, he's Chris Jericho. He's got such a strong legacy. I just think that the learning tree stuff isn't working, and that's why he's probably on this list. John Moxley, yeah, it hasn't been going too well. Shota Umino, number 7, Roman Reigns. What? Number 8, Mercedes Moné. I'm not surprised that people put Mercedes on there because there was a lot of talk about her not being up to par. But she has definitely proven people wrong, I think. But I'm not surprised to see her on that list. Number 9, MJF. Number 10, Jey Uso. I'm not surprised to see some of those names up here. The ones I'm surprised at seeing on here are CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Those are probably the ones I'm most surprised by. The other ones I can see why people put them on there. All right, and most underrated, Konosuke Takeshita, a brilliant wrestler, love to see him. Chad Gable, he's like a gem every single time. You put Chad Gable in a match, you're gonna get a good one. Beast Mortos, yes, he deserves more wins in AEW. I've been saying that, like almost every single time Beast Mortos is on a show. I wanted him to get more love in the tournament as well for the Continental Classic, but hey, that's already passed. Commander Adam Page, most underrated. I mean, he's getting more love, so Bianca Belair, I don't feel like Adam Page and Bianca Belair are underrated. I think they're perfectly rated. Like, I don't know if that's the way to say it, but I do think Konosuke Takeshita at number 1 is right on. All right, Rookie of the Year, Javon Evans in NXT. Oh, we got a few NXT. Jada Parker made it at number 2. Oh, shit. I did not see that one coming. Wow. All right. So the two top spots being to NXT people, I think it's freaking great, man. Yo, I love to see that. All right. Yeah, Javon Evans, man, he just does things that you're like, how do you do it, bro? Like, do you have like an invisible trampoline or something? What's going on there? Best non-wrestler, Paul Heyman, did brilliant work, especially when he was like trying to pretend that he was afraid of Solo Sikoa. And, he turned all white and he was gone and he had bloodshot red eyes looking like a Justin Timberlake mugshot. I think Paul Heyman definitely deserves that award. Wow, Don Callis, Prince Nana, Renee Paquette, MVP, Nick Aldis, Kemalito, and Samantha Irvin. Wow, good stuff, man. It's so hard to judge, right? Because like everyone's such a different role that it's kind of hard to pick, I think. Because how do you compare Renee Paquette with Nick Aldis with Samantha Irvin? Like those are all 3 different roles. Renee Paquette's a backstage interviewer. Nick Aldis is a general manager. Samantha Irvin is a ring announcer. So I feel like those are really kind of hard to judge. But best television announcer, Nigel McGuinness. That one is surprising. I think my vote would have probably gone to I kind of like a lot of people on here. I do like a lot of people. I like Taz and Excalibur a whole lot on AEW. Michael Cole's having much more fun now, which is great to see. But yeah, Matt Menard made it onto the top 10. He's been doing a fine job. Where's television announcer Booker T at number 1? Here's the thing, like I'm not surprised to see that one either because he's got more of an outlandish kind of personality. Same thing with Pat McAfee. They're both very much out there, and sometimes personalities like that, like they're either for you or they're not for you. I've been enjoying for the most part what we've been seeing from Booker T. I think Vic Joseph kind of balances him out. He's got some funny moments, some random moments. We all know which ones that have gone viral, the and the Trick Williams singing song. Pat McAfee, I'm a fan of Pat McAfee's work, but I know a lot of people don't really like Pat McAfee, but I like Pat McAfee. I like Pat McAfee because he's different. I like Pat McAfee because he's not your traditional color commentator. Like, I think he's just a lot more fun, and I think he appeals, in my opinion, to a more laid back, maybe younger audience. I don't know if I'm right or wrong on that. Maybe you guys can let me know, but I really do like Pat McAfee on commentary. And so moving on, we got Best Major Wrestling Show. Oh, this is in terms of like pay-per-views. Revolution 1 at number 1, WrestleMania Night 2, All In, All Out, Dynasty, Stardom, World's End, Bad Blood, Forbidden Door, Backlash. That one's interesting. I think at Revolution won primarily because of Sting and the way that they did such a really good job of dedicating the night to Sting. But I think in terms of like just overall having the best matches, though, I think a lot of the other shows had more really great matches. But I think Revolution took it because of the night being so nicely dedicated to Sting. We got Worst Major Wrestling Show. Oh no, Triple Mania. Oh no. Crown Jewel, SummerSlam, King and Queen of the Ring, Triple A, Triple Mania, Survivor Series, Night 1 WrestleMania, New Beginning, NXT Battleground, and NWA. Okay. All right. Next up, Best Wrestling Maneuver. Will Ospreay wins with the Hidden Blade. Cool. Good to see that. Ooh, Most Disgusting Promotional Tactic. WWE and TKO continue the relationship with Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that one's always up there for sure. And it's probably going to continue to be up there. In fact, hasn't it won before? Let me see. 2023 was WWE allowing Vince McMahon to return to TKO. Yeah, that was huge. 2022, Vince McMahon coming out and getting a big pop the day after sexual misconduct charges came out. Yeah. 2021, WWE firing people during the pandemic while still making record profits. 2020, WWE firing people during pandemic while still making profits. And then 2019 was the year that the Saudi Arabia won. 2018 Saudi Arabia. See, I knew it had won in the past. I couldn't remember what year that it won. I guess the Vince McMahon stuff was the one that, it went off. It went off a little crazy. Okay, let's see what else made it. Number 2 was WWE booking Liv Morgan sending photos to Dominic Mysterio via text, similar to what was described in the Janelle Grant lawsuit. AEW airing CM Punk footage made it at number 3. Number 4, UFC bringing Donald Trump to show as a hero. Number 5, WWE whitewashing Vince McMahon from history rather than addressing the culture in the company. Number 6, WWE talking about sellouts and record gates. Number 7, WWE having their women to a swimwear photo shoot in Saudi Arabia as part of propaganda. Yeah, I did see it. I was like, what? WWE Paul Levesque saying he didn't read the Janelle Grant lawsuit and acting like it was a great week for the company. WWE silence on Lee Fitting. And then Netflix promoting Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. So those was the ones for most disgusting promotional tactic. There's a lot. I think it just depends on what you consider the worst on there, but there's a lot. There's a lot. All right, let's see. Where am I at? Where's television show? AEW Rampage. I don't think Rampage should be above some. See, there's some that I feel like they got watched and they didn't enjoy it, so that's why they voted it. Versus the other shows they didn't watch at all, so they didn't vote it. Because like I don't even watch NWA Power, so oh man, poor Rampage. Poor Rampage got done with. So I guess it maybe deserved number 1. I don't know. I hadn't seen the last. I stopped watching Rampage, so maybe this vote is right. But I don't know. I heard a bunch of people telling me like Rampage is good now, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take your word for it. Guess it just depends on whether or not you watch the programming. Worst match of the year, Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso at WrestleMania. Not surprised that one took it at number 1 because again, that one was just that was rough. Yeah, that was rough. That did not live up to the expectation. Worst feud of the year, Adam Cole versus MJF. Yeah, they should not have continued that at all. And what's worse is that like the 2023 one was MJF versus the Devil. So it's like, damn, like 2 of those back to back. And it included Adam Cole too. So it's like they shouldn't have ran it back if it was already voted the worst the previous year before that. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, I don't think deserves worst feud of the year at number 2. I think it probably just got voted that because it went on a little too long. Death Riders versus AEW, I would definitely rank that above Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Chris Jericho versus Hook, yeah, that wasn't great either. The Elite versus Tony Khan could have been stronger. Bailey versus Nia Jax. They had a good match. And Bad Blood. I did enjoy that. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre does not deserve to be on this list. Acclaim versus Bang Bang Gang. Yeah, that wasn't too great. And then all right, Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso. Well, we already talked about that. Where's promotion of the year? NWA. I think it's up there because nobody really watches. Best Booker. Here we go. Triple H won at number one very, very strongly. Tony Khan at number two. Shawn Michaels ended up at number five. All right. Yeah, all right. I can see how this would turn out the way that it did. I think at the end of the day, it has a lot to do with eyeballs and whatnot. But yeah, Triple H had a strong year. He did a lot of good stuff. The same Tony Khan and Triple H, like they both do good stuff, but then they also do some stuff that you're just like, what? So it just kind of depends, I think. But who won last year? Oh, last year was Triple H. So Triple H has been winning since 2023, which is also when WWE started winning Promotion of the Year. So that makes sense. Promoter of the year, Nick Khan. Number two, Tony Khan. Three, Dana White. All right. That makes sense because of all the big buzz that WB has gotten. Best gimmick, Tony Storm at number one. Not surprised to see that. Love to see Adam Page at number two. The Outrunners, they got a lot of buzz too. The Rock's The Rock, but I'm not surprised he's on this list either. It's weird seeing him on this list, even though because he's The Rock. But anyways, Drew, Harley, number 8 was Jey Uso. Number 9, Beast Mortos. Number 10, I'm surprised Okada still made it, considering how little we saw of him. All right. And then worst gimmick, the learning tree. Yep, I agree with that. And let me see if there's one I didn't agree with. I don't agree with Timeless Tony Storm being on there. I don't think she should be on that list. All right. Wow, there's so many. Best pro wrestling book, Becky Lynch. I did read her book, The Man, Not Just Your Average Girl. Loved it. I thought it was a really great book. It was actually the only book that I mainly read. So that's really the only one I can speak of. But if you haven't read that book, I'd recommend it. Best pro wrestling documentary was the Mr. McMahon one on Netflix. That one had the world talking. So I'm not surprised that that one's listed at number one. All right. And then we'll go ahead and okay. So there you guys have it. I know this video was a little bit long and it's pretty much just commentary, but let me know what you guys thought about the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards for 2024 and how you guys felt about it. If you felt strongly about a certain category or not, well, go ahead and let me know in the comments section. And on top of that, I'll see you guys later for some more content. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're a wrestling fan, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. And may I recommend a video if you're here. I'm going to recommend my Harley Cameron interview. Check that one out. She scored very nicely on the awards, so maybe check out what she has to say in the interview. Bye, everyone.